Good morning, Rabbi Yitzchok.
Thank you. Those people are going to open, so we're going to put them away. You know what I mean? If they were open, then we get some stories. If they're not open,
Well, you can specify for the last.
what?
You can specify for the last.
You read different from
The 2 pages or one?
It's 2 pages, one side and the other side.
What?
No, that's not.
You want to do it.
Even for the children.
Yes, everybody has his own thing.
Moving the clock has a lot to do with it.
What's the end? You add minyan?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That's
You don't take that in me. I don't take that in me.
Okay, it's still in the time of Simcha, so I want to discuss a shaila that has to do with Simcha. The truth is, it's like a really, really difficult problem. What Avelim should do, because really, if you look in the Gemara and you look in the Rishon down to the Shulchan Aruch, Simchas for Avelim is very, very complicated. There's a din shloishim for Shorkrev, and there's a din of Yud Beis Chodesh Aviv Imay. We spoke about the Shalach Manas, right? We spoke about the Shalach Manas. The Shalach Manas is not, we spoke about it last year. Shalach Manas is not so chamor, and even that people are very machmir. That's funny. Shalach Manas, which is not mufurish anywhere, it's a shayla, it's a din of Shila Shalom in the book, whatever. And the whole oil, everyone knows you have to be makbid. Going to a simcha, which is a befedish Gemara, and everyone and his brother-in-law has a few kulas up his sleeve. So not that I'm going to try to squeeze kulas here. I'm saying that but when you do squeeze a kula, you have to take it from the Gemara and the Rashi and the Tosfos, from the Ritva, the Rashba, and the Ramban, not Azoi. Okay, so that's why it's good to look at this. We'll look at some of the shilas today. Mitzvah the next week we'll continue a few more of the shilas. But let's just read it in the Moises Machkimas. By the way, yesterday we were talking about forgetfulness. So the Gaon says that if you learn a sugya b'shitchas, then you'll forget it. If you learn it, then you'll understand the time halacha. You'll remember it. It makes sense to you, so you'll remember it. Okay. The Gemara says, "I'll call the meisim nichtnus lebeis hasimcha la'achar lamed yom alo v'vilim la'achar yud beis chodesh." If he's an ovel for any of the relatives, it's 30 days. For the parents, is a yud beis chodesh. Amar Abba Bachona l'simchas mereis. Rashi says that simchas mereis means that however, a chasana is also for other relatives for yud beis chodesh. So the Gemara says that can't be true. Meis for the simchas mereis lamed yom. Both is lamed yoin. Kash is agishlag. Forget it. Couldn't be. Rabbi Bachona couldn't have said such a thing. Amema said that Rabbi Bachona said something else. Amar Rabbi Bachona, he said this. Well, the simchas mereis mutar lekonas la'alta. You're allowed to do it immediately. Simchas mereis. Vatanya lesimcha shloishim yom mereis shloishim. How can you tell me you're allowed to go to a barbecue, to simchas mereis? Allowed to immediately, it says in the Braisa, you need to wait for simcha and for mereis, you need to wait 30 days. The Gemara like kasha. Rashi says, no, the Rishonim say that they had a minig those days Didn't have restaurants. So what? Every night to cook supper. Didn't have restaurants. That is you're sarcastic. So they didn't have restaurants. So what about every night to make supper? So they had a co-op. They had like a co-op. So they had like a chabur of maybe 5 guys, 10 guys, and they would say, you know what? Every Sunday night, they all went to so if every Sunday we're going to
somebody else.
Ruvain, next Sunday to Shimon, to Levi, to Yehuda. That's the way it went. They don't have to mix up every night. And it's Lebedik. Yeah, sure. It was a way of doing it. So it's also fun. Families are getting together. That's the way it was done in Bavel. So if you think their life was so boring, they had their without TikTok, without Narish Zachen, they had a good life. Okay, so now, that's what the Gemara is answering. The Gemara is saying that if he is a ovel on Shar Kroivim, he's not allowed to go to any simcha 30 days. But if he owes choiv, that means he's part of this system, and the Sunday is supposed to be in his house, so he's allowed to. It's like special exemption Chazal gave because look, it's kilu porenusa. He has to be poreya. He already ate the other Sundays. Now he's going to upset the apple cart. Okay. Chazal said, you know what? If you already owe it, you can't initiate it. To initiate him, you want to make a nice barbecue, you want to make a party. No, you can't do it in the shloshim. You can't go to a simcha, and you can't have a mereyus. But
It's not for a mother or father. Only for a shloshim.
Right, we're talking. So all Rishonim saying that at this point we're only talking about the Shor Kroivim, but for other Imai, I don't care Porinusa or Arisusa, Yud Beis Chodesh is also. I don't care. You have to tell the Chavedim. Nothing. It's very stiff. It's very, very stiff. It's very, very difficult to get, to wiggle around here. It's very, very difficult. The Beis Yosef says, Tanya Ba'avar Rabos. So there is a Yerushalmi and a Braisa in Maseches Mochas, which is called Maseches Mochas, is also called Ovel Rabosi. Each one of them have an exemption. Before we even say anything, it seems that there is a different nusach, and the Rishonim bring it all as one thing. But if you look very closely, the Lashon in the Maseches Mochas and in Yerushalmi is different, and in Yerushalmi itself, if you see how it's quoted by 2 different Rishonim, it's quoted differently. So it's basically a girsa machloikis in the Yerushalmi. It's a girsa machloikis in the Yerushalmi. It's in the Bavli, if there's a girsa machloikis, you see right away the Gro, the Bach, but in the Yerushalmi it's not. But you see clearly, if Rishonim are quoting it, one has one Lashon, the other Lashon, obviously they have a different Yerushalmi in front of them.
What do you find this out?
There's some of the newer sets of Shas have like the small Masechtas. One of them is Masechtas Mochas. No, it's like one of the later at the end of the set of the Shas. There's a whole bunch of the Masechtas Derech Eretz, and there is Masechtas Kala, Masechtas Mochas, and there's like 5-6 little Masechtas that don't have Gemara on them. Tanya Bever Rabosi, Vivia Ramban, Betoides Hadam, Akola Mesa Osal Elech Labesa Mishtach, Malaloi, Lamed Yoim, I love Lima, Yud Beis Chodesh. That's what the Gemara also says in the Braisa. Oh, what does the Ever Rabosi add, or the Yerushalmi add? The Yerushalmi says, Vimoya Chabura L'Shem Mitzvah, Kegon Kiddush Rosh Chodesh, Mutter. If it was a party for a mitzvah, it's mutter. What's a suda of Kiddush Rosh Chodesh? In the days of doing the mitzvah of Kiddush Rosh Chodesh properly, the Edom would come and they would announce Mekudesh Mekudesh. What's if the Edom didn't show up?
They made it for brain.
They made a fabrengen. But when did they make it? It was a very funny fabrengen. They'd make it beneshef in the morning. They would go up in a place and they would they'd bring out a table and they would eat bread and beans and they would have it, and that would be to announce that that day is a Rosh Chodesh. Before davening, they did it b'nesha. So fahren davening, haben wir gegessen, a Suda, and that was it, and that was called Suda's mitzvah because it's called Suda's Kiddush Rosh Chodesh. So the Pashtus, what's the cool over here? Because how big of a party could it be to have bread and beans at 5 o'clock in the morning? I mean, I would say the Sunday afternoon barbecue is a little more lebedik than even a simple barbecue. It's more lebedik than bread and. Oh, that's right. Yeah, what's that child did this? What's that the Shabbos it is?
How were they able to eat before davening?
Okay, there's a mitzvah. There's a mitzvah.
Special thing.
Yeah, the pashtus, the not davening and not eating before davening is exeter derabanan. And the hey mamru, they said that part of the rules are that this is called sudas mitzvah. That's called.
Nobody came. No Adam came.
It's like more important. Yeah, it was very important to Chazal to make this suda.
Why couldn't they make it after davening?
Because they wanted in the beginning of the day it should be established, and they felt that the only way to establish something, like when you make a suda, it's another raya for Siddur Shefabrengi.
What about the night?
They could say we'll go in the morning.
Why didn't they could have made it the night before?
No, they didn't want to do that. They were waiting for the Eidim, and by night they can't do business.
The Eidim was supposed to come at night.
No, they wait till the last minute, the day before. Right. Once it's night, no business is happening by night.
So it has to be by day. Eidim could have come would be during the day before.
The day before.
And during the daytime.
Right, and they were waiting. And the Eidim didn't show up, Shkia, so they said, okay, tomorrow morning, we're going to bring out a table, and we're going to have Suda's Kiddush bread and beans.
Wow.
It's funny, like eating before Shachris, you can see in Hilchas Kiddush HaChodesh, Sachas Rosh Hashanah probably somewhere. So, and there's a lotion, zo Sudas Mitzvah, Nikra B'chol Mokim Sudas Mitzvah. This is that typical thing that's called Sudas Mitzvah. Wow. So
they did it some time above, or
they probably did it even after Churban Abayis, because
from which Bayis?
And even the second.
Even the second, yeah.
Until he had a fixed count.
Wow.
Until they had a fixed count, that's what they did. So that
was after the second.
That was after the second Mesa English. Yeah. Exactly. So that was that's that. Kosovarosh. Hikshor Iva that Iva asked, if you look in the Gemara sounds that Sudas Mitzvah is worse, because we say that L'Simcha, which means like Nesuyim, or Mereus are both also, but for Mereus we'll give you a discount. There's an exemption there if you have to pay back. So Sudas Mitzvah is a Surah Tveim Sudas Rishus. Whatever, Elam Kain, Hoysel Shem Shemaim, Alma the Sudas Mitzvah, Yesh Beheta, Yosem Sudas Rishus. So he said, I understand. Is the Sudas Mitzvah better or worse? Here in the Gemara, it sounds that Sudas Mitzvah is worse. If it's a barbecue and you have to pay back, we could talk. Maybe we can be in business. Otherwise, forget about it. And here, in the Yerushalmi and in the Brais and in Maseches Mochis, we say fakir. There's more an exemption if it's a simcha. So I don't understand. It's a contradiction. So he answers, "V'tir is the Heil Shem Shemayim." This is the words of the Rosh who's bringing the Rabbit. And the Heil Shem Shemayim, the Shori, Hainu Shehu Masi Yosem v'Yisoyim Oy Oni V'Ani El Shem Shemayim. He's marrying off a boy and a girl, L'Shem Shemaim. It's not his son, it's not his daughter. But if a rich man invited him, he's not allowed to go to the wedding. So what's essentially the answer? Depends. You invite, if it's a wedding that, not the pshat, I just want to explain, it's not the pshat that if he's not going to come to the wedding and eat a piece of chicken, it's hard to imagine, even if a person's like Roisa Balgaiva, to think, if I'm not going to eat a piece of chicken at the wedding, it's an ois wedding. The pshat is, since he is paying for it, and if he wouldn't pay for it, it wouldn't happen. Rahman al-Islam, this couple is not getting married without him. So he is the Bala Simcha. Verstehst du, gewaltige Wort? When you're making a Simcha for your own child, there. But if you're making a Simcha for Yosef V'Yisayim Ani Vaniya, V'im Lav Yizbat Lamaisa, so then you are, this is my Simcha. This is my Simcha. Just like a Korban Pesach, which is supposed to be Nechel B'Chabura. And the Torah says you can't say it's an oval you should eat in the base, but the Torah says you have to eat it B'Chabura. It's exciting, but the Torah said it's the same thing here. It's almost like eating a Korban Pesach B'Chabura. Because Yois, it's a mitzvah that needs to be done b'chabura chasna. You can't make a chasna without a achot minyan, and you are paying for the wedding. Vim lav yizbat la'mais. It doesn't mean they've love. You're not going to eat the piece of chicken yizbat la'mais. If you're not going to pay for the wedding, if you're not going to organize the orchestra v'chulu, there's not going to be a wedding. Bistu de gresta mechuten.
Maybe you're not going to eat a piece of chicken. The caterer is not going to do a good job.
You could say that too, but I don't. I hear that. You could say that, right? You could say that, but I think the other pshat is more.
But why they said L'Shem Shamayim? I don't understand. If you are marrying, of course L'Shem Shamayim.
Right. If it's your own child, you're excited about it. Also, you can't. The truth, like it says in Tanya, that Hillel when he ate was L'Shem Shamayim.
Yeah.
His Talmidim, he's going to take care of Aluva Vaniya. His goof was Aluva Vaniya. He's taking care of the Aluva Vaniya. But most of us are not that way. When we eat, we don't feel like our goof is Aluva Vaniya and we're just feeding the goof. That kilo, our goof is Tafel and Hasham Zikr. By Hillel, it was that way. So, but when you're marrying Gofa Yosem V'Yisayma, so it's that the way it is. It's L'Shem Shemayim. So there's an exemption that's different. Yerushalmi says, this is all the words of the Ravid, or the Rosh who's bringing the Ravid. Chaburas mitzvah kiddush hachodesh muter. Chaburas mitzvah kegoyin chaburas pesach. Chaburas achilas kosher ma'aseh sheni. A chabura that are eating korban pesach, or they're eating kosher ma'aseh sheni. The chiddush of kosher ma'aseh sheni is the Torah doesn't say you must eat kosher or ma'aseh sheni b'chabura, but that was the minig Yisrael to do it that way. So it's saying that you're allowed to do it. That's why I think that the word is not that the caterer is not going to bring out good food. This is the lashon of the Rosh. It's brought in the Beis Yosef. Okay, stop for a second. We see over here that we have a Maseches Smachas and we have a Yerushalmi. Maseches Smachas, the exemption is Imhoya, and I have the words in bold. Elim ken hoysel l'shem shamayim. Elim ken hoysel l'shem shamayim. And Yerushalmi has a different exemption, and there's a different nusach. The Ramban has a gisa imay chabur l'shem mitzvah kigun kiddush reish chodesh muter, and the Ravid had the gisa imhoysel chaburas mitzvah oy kiddush chodesh muter. What's the difference, kegon or oy? It's a huge difference. When you're saying kegon is for example, oy means this or that. So basically, according to the Ravid, the Yerushalmi said there's two exemptions. Big simcha, but it's your simcha because it's a korban pesach or your masi yosam yisayma, or it's not your simcha but small simcha. So big simcha like a wedding, but it's your simcha, you're allowed to go. Or a second exemption is it's a small simcha, so you're allowed to go even if it's not your simcha. A small simcha,
What would be an example of a small simcha?
That's why he's giving an example. Kiddush hachodesh. Kiddush hachodesh. That's a small simcha. Compared to a chasana, that's a small simcha. Obviously, the shaila is now going to be what's all in between. But the other, I'm a diagnosis. I didn't see someone should say this, but I think it's
very complicated because you can say going means an example.
But if you start seeing the different machlokas on everything that I've and that Ramban are arguing, you see it falls into line. I'll explain in a minute. You'll see that everything they argue and later poskim fall very much into line when you start realizing. I mean, there's definitely that they're learning that there's a different girsa here. Okay, I'll explain in a minute the nafkaminas between them, and you'll see. So what are the nafkaminas, Taka? So, for example, the Ravid said if you're marrying off a Yosem Yisayma, you could go to the wedding. The Ramban said he never heard of such a thing. It's very simple. If you say that there is Oy, it's Chaburis Mitzvah, Oy Kiddush HaChodesh. I understand that Ravid. The Ramban has a Gersa Kegoin. The only exemption is if it's a small simcha. He never heard of such an exemption of a big simcha because it's your simcha. Another nafkamina. That Ravid said you have to wait until 30 days. Up to 30 days is nothing to talk about. Why? Because it makes sense to say achasana. It's a big simcha. So it's mistah, even though the Braisa says mutter, doesn't tell you that the mutter means only after 30 days. But it's mistah if you're talking about a chasana. If you're talking about bread and beans, 5 o'clock in the morning, don't worry, mutter could be miyad. Okay, you have to wait till after Shiva, maybe a technical thing, or maybe even that's not mistah to be mata b'ter Shiva, but that's another nafkamina. Also, the nafkamina is if you ask Akasha, that Ravid says, is it bigger? Is it less? Is it more? Is it less? If you're saying that it's only Kiddush HaChodesh, so it's hebt sich nicht an der ganze Kasha. That's why only the Ravid that gefragt the Kasha. So hebt sich nicht an der ganze Kasha. So these are the two girsos, and soon you'll see why it's important over here to what are the two girsos. These are the two girsos. Let's skip the this next paragraph. Let's go to the third paragraph on the page. Shulchan Aruch here today is Mishin Tzaddik Aleph Siv Beis. Kol hamesim nichnas lebeis hamishte la'achar shloshim yom. Alovi v'alimoi la'achar yud beis chodesh. So again, that you can go to a party, regular avelis, you wait 30 days, avivima, you wait yud beis chodesh. Rafim hashanah moberes mutar la'achar yud beis chodesh. Miyu simchas merei shechayv l'fayda oisa miyad mutar la'soisa. Miyad. The Shulchan Aruch adds 2 words. Miyad acha shiva. The Gemara doesn't say that, but it's mistaber to you can't in the shiva. You can have a barbecue in the shiva. You can't have a barbecue in the shiva. Miyad acha shiva. That's the Rambam. The Rambam added these 3 words. Miyad acha shiva. Avlimei nechayv lepoida osel lekonas la'ad lamed. V'alo b'viyimai afa b'shechayv lepoida osel ad la'acha yud beis chodesh. Says the Ramah. Hagoel b'chaburis mitzvah gun shamas yosem v'yisayim l'shem shamayim v'im lo yochel shem yizbat l'mayis amuta l'achar lamet aval toich lamet osa l'chol sudas mitzvah shebiyolam. So here there is a big machloikis. We'll talk about this in a second. He says that you must wait the 30 days. What does it mean you have to wait for 30 days? This is very negeya. This is one of the things, the shilas that are very negeya. The Shach says, it doesn't matter, Ovivim or Shokrovim, within 30 days there's no negotiation. You can't go to any simcha. The Bach learns, no, Kol Chad K'di Islay. If he was a mourner for Ovivim, so usually you wait 12 months. Now, the discount is, he waits only 30 days. If he was mourning for a brother or sister, so usually wait 30 days. Now the discount is he waits only 7 days. So that's a kula the way that Rabbi Akiva Eger and the Noida Behuda Paskan similar to the Bach. Weiter, let's read further in the Mechaber. In the Ramah. Aval sudas mitzvah the leis bei simcha. Any sudas mitzvah that has no simcha. Mutar lekonas la. You're allowed to go on pidyon aben or sudas bris milah. Mutar lechol sham apila ter shiva. You're allowed to eat there. But he's not allowed to walk out the door of his house. It doesn't matter. It seems like at this point it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Any bris, any pidyon aben, if it's in the house, even beter shiva, you're allowed to go. It's like very mugzam lakula. Even beter shiva. Huh? Oh. So let's stop a second. The Tosfos actually brings the nustach of kigoin. The Tosfos brings kigoin, and Tosfos says there's a machloikis between some of the Balei Tosfos. Some said that a bris is not a simcha. Why? Because the baby cries and it's tzara yanuka. And the Gemara says that by a bris we don't say shasimcha b'moinu because the baby's crying. Now there's a machloikis between minig Sfardim and Ashkenazim. If you make shachionu by a bris, the Ashkenazim, the minig is they don't say shachionu by a bris. Why? Because the Gemara says tzadid, the Yanuka, you don't say shasem chamoinu, so they also don't say shachianu. The Sfardim say, you're mixing beblach with borscht over here. And we don't like borscht anyway, so forget about it. So the Sfardim say, Simcha b'moina, the Gemara said, Shechiona, the Gemara didn't say. So we're going to be mevatla a bracha, such a beautiful mitzvah you're doing. And the pasuk says Sosanoichi and Sosan is Mila. So the Sfardim made. The Gra is takamaskim with the minig Sfardim. I was at this echte Chaim Balin Bris. They make Shechion.
Chaim Balin is good. Yeah.
Gemacht Shechion. The father made Shechion, and I know it must be because the Rosh Yeshiva was there. So it's not stam psazach that someone. No, Shishiva was there. So
What's the reason why you not make Shechion?
it makes more sense to say Shechion because it's a special mitzvah. That's not everyday mitzvah.
Right.
The minig Ashkenaz not to, because the Gemara said that we don't say Shas Simcha b'ma'inoi because the baby's crying. So we also don't say Shechion. Sfardim say it's a different thing. There's also happiness. I mean, look, parents, when the baby cries, any person you're there, you feel bad for the baby.
Right.
On the other hand, it's excitement. The bris is exciting, right?
Mm.
So the Gemara says not to say Simcha B'moina. Okay, we don't say Simcha B'moina. Why shouldn't we say Shechion? Sfardim say Shechion. Ashkenazim don't say. But the bottom line is both don't say Simcha B'moina. Why? Because Gemara says the baby's crying. So some of the Balei Tosfos, it's a long Tosfos. Some of them said, so a bris is not a simcha. The others said, no. A bris is a simcha.
Is Chabad said?
Chabad does not say Shechion. No, it does not.
Boy is born, we say Shechion.
We do definitely. We do.
It's a good kasha. It's a good kasha. Huh?
What reminded me better?
No, but the truth is we don't say Shechion. When a baby boy is born, we say Atov Meitiv. And it's a little different, yeah. And a girl, if you have simcha b'ris paneh, okay, whatever. Okay.
What does reminded mean, by the way?
This is the house. That in this house there is a simcha. Simcha b'moina shachal mishaloi. So okay, that's a good idea. Okay, that's a good kavana. Okay, so the shaila is if the baby's crying will damper the simcha, and say that it's not. Or the others say, okay, the baby crying takes a little bit away from the simcha, but still not eating bread and beans 5 o'clock in the morning. For it, you have bagels and lox and cream cheese, and it's good. It's a little more of a simcha than bread and beans 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So okay. So there are those that are oisem b'sudas bris milah. The Goen writes because the pasuk says Sosanoich and it talks about milah. So according to the Goen, it's only because it's a bris they asa. The minig is not to eat in any suda for a whole year. That in the house there are mekel. Abba sudas nesuyim yesh lahacher. They need to leave. If he's the father of the baby or the sandik or is the moil, yilbish big the Shabbos alacha mila. Even though we don't put on new clothing, but he will put on new clothing. Mutar likonas lamila lechel shem v'lacha lamed, and he can go and eat even if it's outside the house. Okay. Yeah. Unless it's the milas bebesim, it's very stiff, very stiff. A lot of the okay. So the Dogum Ravava and Abakiva Eger both bring a kula from the Maramins. They say if it's a bar mitzvah, you're allowed to go. If it's a siyam masechta, you're allowed to go. Even someone else. So later, Acharonim ask, it doesn't read well in the words. If you read the words, that's what it says. The minig is not. What is b'shum suda b'olam? It sounds like that it's an upsherenish, or it's a shalom zacher, or it's a siyum, or it's a bar mitzvah, or it's a chanukas habayis, or it's a siyum. It's all shum suda b'olam. It couldn't be a stronger lashon, isn't that? Obviously, the Dogel Meravava didn't learn that way, and Rebbe Akiva didn't learn that way. They must have learned a little differently. They must have learned that B'shum Suda B'Yoyla means any Suda which is not a mitzvah. And also Mila, which we just spoke about. But others are less. It's a very doichik in the words of the Ramah. It's a very big doichik. But the truth is the whole Ramah really is a doichik. And I want to explain, to just back up a drop. We just went through the Rishonim. The Rishonim say that we learned this all from a Braisa. Either it's in Yerushalmi or it's in Maseches Machas. And then we said that the Ravid says that it's only this whole exemption for Chaburas Mitzvahs after 30 days. The Ramban says even after 7 days. Shulchan Aruch paskins that like the Ravid, that the exemption is after 30 days. Could be that if it's short kroiv, the exemption starts after 7. Okay, that's where we're saying the exemption starts. The same Braisa is the one that says Kiddush HaChodesh. So why by the smallest simchas you're telling me even B'Torah Shiva he's allowed to? You're reading a Braisa and you're cutting it in half. The Braisa never said if it's right away, it's after Shiva, after Shlosh. So you're telling me, Lagabe Chaburas Mitzvah, it's only after Shlosh. And Lagabe, small simchas, big simchas, it's not in the words of the Braisa. You're making too much things up. You're making things up. True, some Rishonim learn that the exemption is after Shloshim, some after Shiva, some maybe Miyad. But in the Shulchan Aruch, how do you? It's the same Braisa that says there's an exemption. You're allowed to go to Simcha. So, what's going on? So the answer is that first of all, either because they're not so contradictory. You could learn that one is the Braisa and the Yerushalmi, and one is Maseches Machas. Maseches if you're doing it l'shem Shemaim, and then the other Braisa, you could learn the other Braisa is Kiddush HaChodesh. And one meant Achas Shloshim, and the other one went Miyad. Maybe you're pulling it from different places. Or you're saying that the halacha, the Braisa means after Shloshim. But a small simcha, we don't need a Braisa for that. Especially if you learn the Girsa, Oy Kiddush HaChodesh. So you're saying, Taka, the Braisa said Oy Kiddush HaChodesh. But the emes is, but we don't need the oil is not is bikdina, and the taka chasna you can't do till after 30 days. But a small simcha, even a bris is a big simcha. Even a bris is a big simcha. That's is a machloikis, but a bris. But a siyum mesechte, an obshernish, a bar mitzvah. Their taka it has the mile of having a sudas mitzvah, but for it it's a small. It's like Kiddush HaChodesh, and that's why it's mutar miyad, and maybe even Torah Shiva. It's a pella, but you see already that the Horamah is already muksha. So the bottom line is that the simple reading of the Ramah is that the minig is that for 30 days there's no exemptions. But we see that the Dogel Meravava and the Rebbe Akiva learned that if it's a Siyum Masechta or if it's a mitzvah, that's Boy Bayom or the Bar Mitzvah Bachar Darshans Adrasha. By the way, where did that come? Where does it come, the minig, that a boy says a drosha? That comes from the Marshal. The Am Shlomo says that it's only a sudas mitzvah if it's in the right day. If it's not on the right day, it's not a sudas mitzvah. Yes, in order to make it a sudas mitzvah, he said you should always have that the boy should darshan. That's why the minig came that the boy should darshan. Because if it's just in case, because the mother wants it should be in Asman that Mekan Mazman Zain Orchim v'chulu. So it could happen that the Suda is not on the same day as the Bar Mitzvah. We want it, but it's very choshev. The Suda's Bar Mitzvah, we see in the Zohar that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai considered it like the Suda v'chasna. So we want it to be a Suda's Mitzvah, but it's not. A chasna, whenever it's a chasna, that's when it's a sudas mitzvah. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But a bar mitzvah has to be in the right day. So hab nakun said the bar mitzvah zog adrasha. That's a big simcha. A little boy just put on a hat and just started putting on tefillin. And stellt sich weg and sagt shagas aye, sagt ktzos. So a große simcha. So vet a simcha shel mitzvah. Anyway. So bottom line is, I'll leave it next week. We'll put in the screws on this. There's two major machloikas in here. One is that according to the Shach, there's no exemptions for the first 30 days. And Dogel Meravova says, no, if it's a short krevim, you get ready after Shiva. It's a very important one. And the other one is, so the most kitzurim svarim that are today, because it's such a delicate, I'm looking at, so they're right, ask it of ask it of. That's what a lot of the, kitzur svarim say.
Yes.
And then there is the other kula here, which is a simple reading Shulchan Aruch, is that the minig is that we don't go b'shum suda b'yoylom if it's for a parent ad yud beis chodesh, unless it's in the house. Which a pashas, the idea of that minig lanius daiti is that when we say in the beginning of the sif that by a bris you're allowed to do it in the house up to Shiva, it means to say you're allowed to miyad. Alamai, it's a technical thing. You're not allowed to walk out of his house. So therefore, they said it has to be in the house. But with the minig oilam is a different reason. It's not the same. Minig oilam is to say that any simcha, which is like a bris or pidyon aben, if it's in your house, it's a small simcha. How big could it be? The caterer is going to come with in the dining room. How big of a simcha could it be? It's outside your house, so you're renting a hall. You're going in a place. It's a balabatisha. It's not a Rashi, it's not a Toisvis, it's not a Ritzvah, it's not a Rashba, it's a minig. He said it's like the minig. It's a balabatisha minig. The people came up with this thought to say, if you make, it's not the same like B'toich Shiva that we said, if you're making it in your house, what are you going to have? You're going to bring some bagels and cream cheese. So, but if you bring it outside your house, B'shum Suda Shabbalim, you can't go. But the dogma about it, but if it's not something as big as a bris, or maybe even a pidyon aben, all these other simchas, some mitzvah you're allowed to. That's a very important kula to keep in hand, even though it doesn't seem like the simple reading of the Shulchan Aruch. Very, very fast. I want to tell you like this. Someone called me.
Morgan, I could ask a small question.
Yeah, sure.
The Sephardi people always is by oval house a lot of food. Isn't it a simcha?
As a simcha. So look, if according to this, if we're saying that they're allowed to do betoich habayis, not a simcha. Them is it's a bishul. They're making mezoinus to make a brocha.
The amount of food over there, it's a seuda. It's not a mezoinus.
That's mistama, not the original minig. The original minig was da weggestellt a paar cookies mit das und mit gesagt in Baghdad hat man nicht gestellt kein sushi and pastrami sandwiches.
There is. That's a problem. There is like a big.
But the market of the minig was mit da weggestellt a bissel mezoinus, a bissel arak, man soll machen a brocha. No, you're right. Someone asked me a shayla on Friday. Interesting shayla. He has a company that's doing business in South Africa. Okay, very true. Okay, they shall help him. He should have an office in every one of the countries of Me'aves and B'Sheva Medinas in this world, selling his products. Okay, so and Baruch Hashem is helping Beis Menachem a lot. So it should have a lot of atzlach. Okay. So now his question was, he says, every Friday I call a secretary in South Africa, Shiksa. But I'm telling a goy to do malacha, and in South Africa it's Shabbos. Am I allowed to do it? So I thought, it's a narish, but no shaila is not a shaila. Today you can find everything. It's mamish in a click of a button. So I found there's a tshuva from Rebbe Tzion Abashol, Zechron Lebrocha. It's a long tshuva about a person that's traveling so it's complicated with Shabbos. He's crossing the date line, but that's not our shaila today. Just the shaila is, can I call Friday morning and the secretary is in South Africa, there is Shabbos, and give instructions about what should be done? So the answer is it's mutter. Why? Let's read it out. There's three reasons why Chazal said it's also to tell a goy to do malacha for us. And Rebbe Tzion Abashol said if you look at each one of them, it wouldn't apply to when you're calling a goy to a different country and they're doing for you. What are the three reasons? So we're not going to read it inside because time is short. We'll just talk about it outside. One is that we shouldn't have the dibur b'Shabbos shouldn't be like the dibur of Kollel. It's not Shabbos. It's a din in me. The other one is that if a person could tell a goy to do malacha and Shabbos, there'll be kal, yove, and then the yichas v'shom, the yid will start doing the malacha himself. It's not shayach here. It's Friday. The third reason is a little bit you have to think about. Razal said that there's no shlichus for a goy. Usually, whatever I'm allowed to send a shliach to do for me something, but a shliach is only a yid. Can't have a goy as a shliach. Right? This whole thing of shlichus, all kinds of shlichus. It doesn't happen by a goy, because we learn it from Teruma, Gam Atem, Ma'atem b'nei bris, Avshlachachem b'nei bris. When you send a shliach, has to be a Jew, just like you. You can't send a monkey. A monkey is very nice, but a monkey cannot be your shliach. Why can't it be your shliach? Because the Torah says, Gam Atem, you're a human being, you're shliach. You're a yid, your shliach has to be a yid. So, but Chazal said we're going to make shlichus lanochi lechumre, and especially the Gabi Shabbos. That this is like they made this gzeira. They made this gzeira. You know what? Let's read it in the Alter Rebbe. That they made it considered shlichus. Let's read it in the Alter Rebbe. We'll just read it fast. Kosev Shulchan Aruch here on the second page. Yeah, thank you. Kosev Shulchan Aruch Rabbeinu. Otzacham loymel nochri latzan malach b'Shabbos. Ben beginnen met b'skar. Wach b'shem alam kedem b'Shabbos. She'atz b'Shabbos. Av b'shem tzarech lotzam malach ad lach Shabbos. Shenoch lotzam malach oisa b'shlichus Yisrael. Av b'shem shenem en shloch shlodem k'moisa men atoyda al b'Yisrael nasa shlich l'Yisrael. Shenem v'truma kitrim gamatem truma Hashem v'dosh chachamim gam l'rab shlachachem v'kam shloch shlodem k'moisa. Umatem nebris av shlachachem nebris. Aval anochrim t'er shlichus men atoyda b'chomokem. B'divrei seifrim yesh shlichus l'nochri chumre. V'yesh remez l'isa zeh b'Shabbos v'yom t'ben atoyda. Shenema b'yomta kol malach lo yasa. Mashma fil al yidei achedim. Shem etzuven al shvisa b'yomta. The Kabbalah Shabbos. Komok means al asmachta b'alma. The Gemara didn't really learn the pasuk that way. It was an asmachta. V'yikri yisur amir al nochi b'yom Shabbos b'yomta einol devreim. Why? Kedei shelo yiyeh Shabbos kal b'nei am v'yovel atzmam v'chem b'yomta v'filu b'chalamoid. Okay. Alter Rebbe doesn't bring over here the third reason. Okay. So we see that even though Chazal said we're making the Nochri should be your shliach, but what is it? They learned it from the pasuk that not only you can't do malacha, but malacha cannot be done for you, and that's why they said we're going to say that the Nochri should be considered your shliach. But that's only when you're not allowed to do malacha. But right now, that's on Friday. I'm allowed to do malacha. So it's not mistabet to say. If it was a Jew, it's a real din of shlichus. Here, it's not a real. The guy is not really my shliach. But they found that Em is in the Torah, and therefore they said we're going to consider him your shliach. Why? Because on Shabbos it says kol v'locha, not yasa ye asa, shall not be done. So to teach me, not only I'm not allowed to do it, but also I'm not allowed to have a goy do it for me. And it doesn't matter if I told it to on Shabbos or I told it to before Shabbos, but it has to be my Shabbos. It's not my Shabbos. It's not mistaber that there should be an issue. So the bottom line is it's mutter. And that's what the Orlutzian Paskin is mutter, so simple. Maybe she'll help from the schustak. It's beautiful to see that people are doing business that are thinking of every prat to do it al pitoida, and that's schus. I have unbelievable atzloch in our parnosa. They should sell it on Shabbos. They close it when it's their time. They don't consider. I don't think they close it when New York time. I don't think they're koshish for. And I think this is avon de kula. This is where it comes to. We'll be Messiah with one akuda. It's not a question that someone asked, but just a beautiful thing that came to my mind. This week is Parshas Vayakal, and this year is Parshas Hakel. So what's the connection? But there is a connection. Believe it or not, there's a befedisha connection, and it's a medrash tanchuma. Yalkut Shemaini. It says Vayakal Moshe midrash Rabbeinu Agoda Oimrim etchilas haTorah v'tzoyf eim b'parsha shenema b'Rosh Vayakal Elazois. Why is it in this Vayakal? Every time Moshe Rabbeinu needs to get the Jews together, he has to Vayakal. He has to gather them. What mitnamol B'reish Shmois and in Bereshis is Bereshis Nech Shmois mitnamol Vayakal. Elo zois amar Kadosh Baruch Hu asay lecha kilos gedolos lefneim berabem hilchas Shabbos kedshilmu the doiris aboim lahakol kilos chol Shabbos v'lichtnas botem b'medrashas lilmu de lahoyles divrei Torah yisav heta kedosh yishmiya gadol meskalas. I want you should make every Shabbos that the Yidden should get together and learn halachas. That's really what we do in Beis Menachem Mendel in the summer Shabbos after Pesach. That an hour before Mincha, we started it, and then this is going on many years. That we learn, and a lot of kehillas have this thing to learn some halachas and Shabbos. Why? It's not stam because in the summer you rested, you have extra time in your hands. That's also true, but there's a special thing that the Eibishter said to Moshe Rabbeinu, that on Shabbos you should gather the Yidden, because in the beginning of this Parsha Vayakal is a mention of Shabbos. So this Adar of Chazal is saying that when it comes to Shabbos, I want you to be makal kehillas of the Yidden and learn halachas. And the Moshe Rabbeinu went a step further. Mekan Amru Moshe lahem liyisrael sheyadosh minyana shel yom Pesach bePesach hilchas atzeres b'atzeres chag b'chag. Moshe liyisrael matemaisi mazeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu mal aleichem kile malach tamaisi. That if you do this, the Eibishter says it's as if you made me a king. What's the connection? That the kilo you made me a king. So b'pashtus, that there is a song which is putting together two psukim, which there's I know I speak about it many times. It's two psukim, like many Yisrael said. But bottom line is that and the Chassidus says in Lakutei Torah that when is the Eibishter Melech b'sasaf Rosh Yom? That when the Yidden are come together, the Eibishter becomes a Melech. When the Yidden are b'hakel, they're standing b'achdus, the Eibishter becomes the Melech. If Chas v'sholom not, there's a chisaron in the Eibishter's Malucha. So therefore, what he said, the Moshe Rabbeinu said, and you can learn it, you can read it like this. Remember, I mentioned the Sikha from the Rebbe that he said that the Alter Rebbe said he heard from the Maggid. That the Maggid said if 10 Yidden got together, a Malach would come there, he'd get Pashat burnt from the Goyla Kedusha. The Alter Rebbe said that even they're not saying Divrei Torah. They're drinking, like we spoke about this, they're drinking beer and they're talking about this latest score in rugby. They're sitting together, a little bit of eggs and cream cheese and bagels Sunday morning, and meret divrei Torah. But that's a minyan, the 10 Yidden are sitting together. So that's an unbelievable koyach when 10 Yidden are sitting together by Achdus. So Mamela, they have the koyach to make the Eibishter Melech at that time. So you see that there is a connection to Hakel and Vayakal. That's Taka. The pasuk Vayakal means that there's a special mitzvah. There's a special mitzvah to get Yidden together. And if we already have 10 Yidden together, what are we going to do? We're going to eat potato chips. Let's already use the time to do something good. So, and that's Mamlech the Eibishter. So there's a connection between, especially this year. This year is the year of Hakel with Vayakal. They should help that we should be zoichetun to the big Hakel, the Vias Mashiach Tzidkenu.
Amen.
One, even though Torah, Avraham Avinu kept all the mitzvahs, Ethan of Eliezer was not Jewish. As a shliach, find a wife for his husband. So said that they're not Jewish. And the second thing is, what?
He had no bereda. What should he do? Who should he send?
My son is never above it. And he said, the non-Jew as a shliach. The second thing about Melech is not only that
Yes. He b'shurayel b'sasaf Rosh Yom Yachad Shifti Yisrael.
Hashem wasn't called Melech when he was talking to the world. That's what he was called Melech.
Very nice. Okay, very good.
Yashkoach.
Welcome to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure, but
I'm going to send me a text now. In a few minutes, I'm coming home. I want to send you in the Kvar Chabad magazine last week. There's a picture of a very handsome gentleman getting wine with the son from the Rebbe Koshel Bracha.
are you kidding?
Gorgeous picture. Gorgeous. I opened it up, I put it on my desk, and I also want to send it to you.
What issue was it? This month?
Last week, I think. It's last week's.
Are you
I'll
kidding?
send you a picture. Yeah,
Great.
I'm not kidding.
Great.